Thank you all for joining. My name is Ronnie Kruzman, and I founded the People Piece. It's been about 11 years now. I've been in the field of leadership and organization development for the last 25-ish years. I'm really happy to be here with you and with my fabulous colleagues. They're going to do some quick intros, our facilitators today, and then we'll jump right in. So I'll pass it over to Jess Peabody, our VP of People and Programs.
Good morning, good day, good afternoon. I'm Jess Peabody. I am Vice President of the People Piece. I'm so glad that you're here. This is really sweet to see so many familiar faces and folks that I've had a chance to walk along with over the years. As I said, I'm the Vice President of the People Piece. I've been in leadership and leadership development and people development for over 20 years in both for-profit and nonprofit sector. So glad to have you here. And I'm going to pass it to Shelley.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shelley Masson. I'm a senior facilitator, strategist, and coach with the People Piece. Very excited and honored to be here with you all today. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Laura.
Hi, my name is Laura Murphy. I'm the head of coaching and manager training here at the People Piece, and also delighted to be here with all of your happy faces.
So, as I said, for me, this feels like a really special time of year. And there's something that happens in the shift right after Thanksgiving that it feels like, okay, here we are in this, in some journey and some flow towards the end of the year. And really for California, and I'd say for probably much of the country, it really marks the beginning more or less of winter, right? It's getting dark really early suddenly. Doesn't it catch you off guard every year, even though it happens every year? There's something that happens for me this time of year, which is really interesting and fascinating. On the one hand, I feel like I want to relax. I want to sleep more. I want to spend time with friends and family. I want to host Hanukkah and get the lights up on the Christmas tree and go for a walk in the woods where there's leaves on the ground and do all these wonderful things that really require slowing down. And on the other hand, there's a lot to do before the end of the year. There's planning those parties, and there's getting all the things done at work, and there's making sure we hit our revenue targets and honor our team and do our end of year retrospectives and all the things. Blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to go down that list because I don't want to stress us out. The point of this session is to unstress us, right? But for me, and maybe for you, there are these competing priorities. On the one hand, I want rest and balance. On the other hand, I know I need to and want to get a lot done before the end of the year. And I find that if I don't have some kind of intention to guide myself and some kind of practices to guide myself, then I will most likely be carried by those things of the year that come every year that are sometimes stressful or full, or like Dave, like you said, congested. And if I can be conscious, bring some consciousness to these conflicting parts of myself and of this year for all of us seasonally, and then incorporate some intentions and some goals and some practices, then I can hope to have an end of year that is less scattered and more focused, where I feel complete as opposed to depleted at the end of the year. And if you're a parent and I'm a new parent, then you're probably going to feel pretty tired either way. Or if you're middle-aged, raise your hand. You're probably tired either way. Yeah. Or older, you're tired either way. But maybe there's a way to feel a little less tired and a little more balanced and relaxed. And like we can, that feeling that maybe you have, that ritual that I have of closing that computer, that work computer for the last time before the holidays and just not opening it again. And you might think to yourself, oh, wow, like I've never done that. Well, that's your first practice. That's my first challenge to you. And for those of you who do that, that feeling of there goes the computer and it's done. And now there's something about me having some kind of rest. So today is really going to be a time for us to gather and to reflect and to see what we can do to end the year with intention. And for us, that means a few things. One is, what's the mindset that you want to have for year end? Is your unconscious mindset, I'm not enough, I'm never enough, I'll never be enough, so I need to do as much as I possibly can to end the year well? Or is there a different mindset to adopt? What am I focusing on the end of the year? Is it just banging out as much of my to-do list as possible? Or is it a little more of a strategic approach? Am I ending the year with some time to reflect, some time to celebrate myself and others, some time to be strategic? Or am I just in do mode, in go mode? What do I need to do to feel complete at the end of the year? Maybe create some boundaries for myself, hopefully create some boundaries for myself so that the end of the year can feel and the time off can feel like real time off and not just recuperation time or time where we're at everybody's whim again. And then just coming back in January saying, wow, what just happened there? It didn't even feel like a vacation. And can we also support others to do the same, right? We probably have, how many people here, maybe quick show of hands, have direct reports, people that you manage, maybe you own a business, maybe you work as much of a part of a bigger business, and maybe you have colleagues, you probably have colleagues, right, that you can support in this way. Yeah, great. So that's going to be our focus for today. It's going to be a very interactive session. At the People Piece, the reason, frankly, why I started the People Piece is Anno and I, who's on this call, used to go to trainings, and we used to love the trainings. They used to be so exciting. And then later, towards the end of the training, we'd always ask the facilitator, okay, how do you do that thing that you say we should do? And they'd say, just go out there and try it. We'd say, ooh, that falls a little bit short, right? So really started the People Piece to make sure that there are specific tools and practices that we can use and incorporate in our daily lives, both professionally and personally. And we're going to practice 6 of those tools today. Consultants and trainers like us love models. And so here's an 8-part model. Part of me wants to say, don't worry about it at all. And part of me wants to say, hey, if you followed even 1 or 2 of these things, I think it would make a difference for you. We will follow up with an email after this with everything. So you don't have to take notes. You don't have to do anything right now other than be present. And we're going to go through myself, Jess, Shelley, and Laura, 5 or 6 of these tools that we find most useful, and just give you a minute or 2 on each of them to practice the tool, to seed the tool, and see if after this you can implement even just 1 or 2 of these tools that I think will make a big difference. If you're an overachiever like me, you probably are, raise your hand. You're going to want to do 8 of the tools and say, wait, there's like 12 tools missing. Let's do 20 tools. And for any of us who've every year make the 20-part list, we know what happens is we don't do any of it. So it's probably best to just focus on 1 or 2 things here. I'm going to kick it off to Jess, who is going to begin with our first tool, which is really useful any time of year and is definitely useful this time of year.
Yeah, so it's really always available to us, this tool, but it's something that we can often really forget to do in moments like this, which is breathe in an intentional way. And, so what we want to talk about here is, how do we look for opportunities to reset in the moment? This time of year, we may feel like we're moving at 65 miles an hour, maybe faster than that. Maybe you're at 120 right now. There's so much to do. And taking a couple minutes to slow, to focus on the breath, to reset for just a few moments can be one of the most potent tools that we have in our toolbox. And there's so many benefits. I'm sure many of the folks on this call have heard about the benefits of the breath, both on a physiological and a psychological and a neurological level. So this is science-based, of taking a couple minutes to focus on breath. Even 3 deep breaths can reset how we're feeling in the moment, if we're definitely feeling like we're on that fast forward. Physiologically, it resets our parasympathetic nervous system. It slows us down from being in that space of anxiety of how am I going to do it all? Or psychologically and neurologically, it can move us from that emotional part of our brain, the subcortical cortex, where it's the amygdala and we might feel really activated or stressed, into the wiser, more powerful executive part of our brain, which is that prefrontal cortex that can help us see clarity on how to move through all of these things that we're trying to juggle. So we want to invite everybody just to take a couple breaths with us now and be in the spirit of being intentional. And this may be the most 3 or 4 or 10 most intentional breaths that you take today. All right. So what I want to invite you to do is just get into a space, physical space, being ready to do this. So plant your feet on the ground, really get yourself balanced in your chair, get ready to be grounded. I will invite you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes. And if it feels strange to close your eyes with a bunch of people on video, you can go off video at this moment. Just give you a sense of grounding here. I see people going off video, so please do that if that just allows you to be more present with your breath. And as you settle, check for places of tension and discomfort in your body. Just scan the body. I know I get tense in my neck and my shoulders. Feel for where there may be just a little tension or discomfort and see if you can breathe into that space. You may want to soften your shoulders or relax your jaw or your eyes. Just simply allow yourself to sink into your chair. And once you've begun to soften and relax, notice that in your body and in your muscles. Bring attention to where you most feel your breath right now. It may be in your nostrils, or maybe you feel it in your chest or your belly. Just focus on what it feels like to experience the breath in that part of your body in this moment. It might be cool air entering your nostrils or warm air being released. Or maybe it's the rise and fall of your chest or your belly. Just want to invite you to maintain attention to that part of your body for 3 long, slow, deep breaths. Allow yourself to slow the exhale. And take those long, slow, deep breaths. And once you're complete, I invite you back into the space to come back on video when you're ready. I would love to hear just in the chat, even after a couple moments of breath, intentionality, how are you feeling now? How's your body feeling? How's your brain feeling? A little bit more clarity from Ronnie, wonderful. Yeah, calm and relaxed. Awesome, Meredith. I'm glad you're feeling calmer. We are rushing from one thing to the next, Zoom meeting to in-person meeting to whatever is taking your space and your time. And it's amazing the power of even 2 minutes of doing this. So we just wanted to remind that this is available to us at all moments. And thank you for spending a little time grounding. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Laura Murphy.
Thanks, Jess. I feel just so calm right now. I'm like, I just want to take a nappy. So the next tool that we want to talk about is setting an intention. But before we do that, I'd like you to just take a moment and share in chat. What's typical for you the last 3 or 4 weeks of a year? How does it usually go? What might be some words you would use to describe what that last 3 weeks, 4 weeks of the year is usually like for you? Busy, rush to the finish, chaos, hectic, tired. Okay, I'm starting to see some themes: stressful, hectic. Okay, kind of the opposite of how we felt while Jess was leading us: intense, hectic, fatigued, full. Okay. So taking that energy from the breath, that calm, I'd like for you to take a little bit of time and think about 1 or 2 or 3 words. If you could have an intention, any intention that you want for yourselves from now until the end of the year, what would you like it to be? How would you like to feel as you enter 2024? And I'm going to encourage you to get out paper and pen or open your notes app or open up a document and actually write a couple of words. It can be 1 word, it can be a couple that really resonate for you. We're just going to give you a minute of silence to just come up with words that feel really good, an intention for yourself for the next couple of weeks. And when you've got a word or two or three that feel really good, you can put a 1 in chat or do a thumbs up. Okay, and people are starting to put them in chat, and I'll invite the rest of you to do the same, to feel clear, calm, spacious, present, collected, refreshed, recharged, focused, goal-oriented, family first, no regrets, present, intentional, restful, organized, clean, inspired, relaxed. Oh, I love these. Oh, less hard on myself, happy, focused, controlled. Oh, these are beautiful. So as you sit with your beautiful intention for the remainder of the year, you might then find yourself wondering, okay, but how do I actually go about doing that? So we're going to spend the rest of our time together today sharing tools that are going to help you actually fulfill upon that intention. And I'll encourage you to write that intention somewhere where you can see it on a daily basis for the next couple of weeks so that you can remind yourself of the intention that you've set just now. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Ronnie.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's ironic that in an hour of saying we shouldn't try to squeeze too much in, we are bringing you a lot. And I personally feel like this felt like enough already for me, to just go take a break now and then think about, yeah, how do I incorporate these things? And we want to give you some more tools. And before we do that, I want to level set on something. Anybody here already been judging themselves during the last 20 minutes for not ending their year correctly? I saw some comments already from some people that like, oh, I feel guilty that I haven't been breathing enough, which is, of course, we all know the irony of that, right? That all these practices are meant to support us, and the part of ourselves that wants us to be good and keep us focused can then criticize ourselves for not doing enough to free ourselves from it. It's one of the biggest ironies, right? So what I guess maybe a message that we all need to hear right now is we're all enough, and you are enough. And if there's a part of yourself that hasn't learned how to say that to yourself yet, then I'm telling you that you are enough. And that was a mantra that I had back in the days of desktop computers. I had that on my computer monitor for a good 5-10 years. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. Because I think so much of the rushing and so much of the hectic, we can say that it's the outside world. And yes, if you have a child, like, you do need to feed that child and get that child to school and deal when that child has a cold. Like, that is all true. And I think that there is more in our lives that's under our control than we may admit. And if we tell ourselves that we're enough, I don't actually need to go to that party. I don't actually need to bring the best dessert. I don't actually need to run the best retrospective ever for my team. I can take a week off instead of 3 days, or 2 weeks instead of a week. And we all have ways that we can do that. And if we're coming from a place of not enough, then we won't do it. And if we're coming from a place of I am enough, then we will. And the I am enough, I think, is a lifelong thing. I don't think there's anybody. You can think of your biggest hero, political leader, spiritual teacher, whatever it is. Even they sometimes think they're not enough, consciously or subconsciously. But we are all doing our best. I'm sure if you're here, you are definitely doing your best. And can you give yourself a pass? Can you forgive yourself? And can you allow yourself to do just a little bit less? So for me, that's a really important psychological frame and a mantra that we can repeat to ourselves. And how do we show up in the world with others and with ourselves when we remember that we are truly enough? And there's a part of ourselves that's going to say, no, you're not enough. You're not even close to enough, right? And we just keep reminding, yeah, actually, I am enough. I am enough. Water on a stone, drips, 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 erosion over time. And then suddenly maybe a piece of that stone falls after 5 or 10 years of the mantra, or a week. So on that note, there's so much that we could be doing at the end of the year. And I want to suggest a tool, or a few tools, for you to help really guide your time. So how many people are taking some time off at the end of the year, whether it's like your office is closed or you're just taking some time off? Yeah. So most likely, most everybody has at least a few days off. How many people are taking a week off, maybe, or have a week off? How many people maybe 2 weeks off even, right? So maybe a week, two. We close down for 2 weeks. People aren't allowed to work, even if they wanted to, unless they want to come to my garden and help out. But other than that, they can't. So so how many people have a plan for their next 2 or 3 weeks? Awesome. So Tom Henry has been doing this work for 130 years, and he has a plan, which is awesome. I'm noticing that very few other people raised their hand, right? And some people did. So one thing that we can do to make sure that we end the year with intention is to set some goals and some outcomes that we want to hit so that we can be intentional with our time. So I want to invite you now just for a minute, and that means prioritizing, because we do have limited time, right? And if we don't want to be working 60, 80, even 40 hours a week for the next few weeks, then what can we do? We can get clear on some of the outcomes that we have. So I want just everybody to take a minute and say, what are one or two things that you know you really need to or want to get done over the next few weeks? Take a moment to jot that down. And you may think, oh, I know that already. But what is really, if you really had to boil it down to one or two things, what would definitely be on your list? Let's just take a moment that you know you really want to and need to get done, let's say before the Christmas holiday. What would that be? And it could be personal, it could be professional, it could be a combination of the two. And after this session, you might decide to really give this some more thought. You might say, well, there's 7 things or there's 15, and that's fine. There may very well be, but let's just start with 1 or 2 of those things. And so everything we do then, we want to orient towards these outcomes. So once we are clear about what we want to get done, then we can ask ourselves, well, what's the path to getting there? So then I want to ask you to jot down or bring to mind, if I'm going to get that thing done, what are 1 or 2 key things that I really need to do? It might be, I need to schedule that meeting with my lawyer to get that agreement complete. Or it might be, I need to contact those 3 prospective clients and set up a time to meet in the next couple of weeks to get clear on what we're doing for next year. Or it might be, I need to spend 30 minutes tomorrow preparing for the end of year meeting that I'm having with my team. So what are a few of the key things you need to do to get those things done? So outcomes, and then the key things we need to do to get those things done. And ideally, you're setting yourself a time to actually do that. So that would be the third step here, is if you need to get that agreement back to your lawyer, like, when will you do that? And what the science of motivation shows, and of getting shit done, I'm from New Jersey, so I'll curse every once in a while, is that if we can say what we're going to do and specifically when we're actually going to do it, we're far more likely to do it. So me saying I'm going to play tennis with Anno 3 times a week is a great goal. It's a great practice. But when am I going to play? We're going to play every Sunday at 2:00 when his boy goes down for a nap. I'm going to do that. It's a lot easier to commit to, when we also both want to go down for a nap. So when will you do this? So what do you need to get done? What are a couple of things that will help you get it done? And when will you do it? Now, who, if you were to continue this process, who would have more on their list than they could possibly get done in the next 2 or 3 weeks, do you think, if you were realistic? Okay, I want to introduce a tool to help with that, and it's called the 5 Ds. I've been in management for 25 years, and one of the main things you know if you're a manager, again, raise your hand if you have anybody reporting to you. What's one of the most common things people will come to you with is, I have too much on my plate and I don't know what to do. So as managers, you probably want to fix that for them, right? You want to say, well, do this or do that, or just go figure it out. But I find it helps to have a tool. So this is a tool we developed at the People Piece, and it's called the 5 Ds. And so the first D is, I have a lot on my list, and I'm human. I am enough. So I don't have enough time to do all this. So can I just drop the thing? Like, does it really need to get done? Is it that important? And so you can go through your list and use the 5 Ds after this session. Ask yourself, what can I drop entirely? Yeah, wow. Does it really matter if I look at my LinkedIn metrics? Or maybe not. Maybe I can just drop that. Okay. Second is diminish. What can I reduce in scope? Yeah, maybe I do want to look at some metrics, but maybe do I need to look at all the metrics, or can I just look at half the metrics? Do I need to look at them every week? Or can I look at them every month so I can diminish? The third is delegate. Is there anybody else who can help with this on my team? Maybe it's my manager, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a direct report, maybe it's a contractor. The fourth, I'm going to skip up to delay. So Does it really need to happen now, or can I kick the can down the road? And then the fifth, and I really love this one, is can I do it differently? Is there some process that I find myself going through that takes a lot of time or is time consuming or is frustrating in some way? Can I try to do this process differently that will help me save time? Maybe I can make it 10% more efficient. Maybe I can make it 50% more efficient. Maybe I can make it 90% more efficient. Maybe 100% more efficient by automating the process. So let's say that you drop 5% of things and you diminish a bunch of other things by 2%, and you delegate 5% of things, and you delay 10% of things, and you do differently 8% of things. Well, now that you might find yourself with 30, 40, 50% more time in your pocket, which is kind of like the dull equivalent of finding $10 in your pocket, right? So this is a tool, highly suggest you use it. We have a whole suite of videos on our website. You can actually find this video on our website, 5Ds, 4 minutes of Laura or James telling you how to use the tool. Can be really powerful. This time of year can be really powerful any time of year, but it's a way to basically create more time out of thin air, essentially. So we should be charging more for that tool because it's very valuable, but we're giving to you for free. I'm going to pass it along to Shelly, who's going to go to our next tool here.
All right. So one of the most important things to prioritize and plan is really making the time to harvest learnings and celebrate successes. I don't know if you all have ever experienced this, but we usually go, right? We skip the step because we just keep going to the next thing. We don't take time to really stop and pause and reflect and think, what were some highlights this year? What were some of the challenges that we overcame? What were some of our successes? What did we learn this year, right? Because we're just going thing to thing. And sometimes we can just get so busy getting through the year that we miss the opportunity to truly celebrate all of the great things we have done over the course of the year, right? We're rushing to that finish line. We're just trying to get it done. And if we don't do this, we end up really missing something. And that is that opportunity to really identify what worked well, what do we want to keep for next year, what do we want to learn from it, and what do we want to take forward. And so our next tool that we want to introduce you to is intentionally identifying learning and celebrating accomplishments. And it's the fun stuff. It's the, oh my gosh, look at all this amazing stuff we did, and what did we learn? So we're going to give you a little bit of time. We're going to give you a couple of minutes to jot down the answers to a couple of questions. And that is, what were some of your biggest insights from 2023? What is one thing that your team learned or you learned personally? These are questions you can use for yourself introspectively and also use with your teams and folks that you work with. So what were your biggest insights from 2023? What did you learn as a team? What did you learn personally? And then what habits or what things worked well to help you be successful that you're going to take with you into 2024? What do you want to keep doing? All right. And so that opportunity to just jot some of those things down. What are some things you've learned? What would you like to do and take forward? What habits are going to help you be successful? So I want to give you a minute to just jot some of those down. And then we have a second set of questions we're going to add to that. And that second set is thinking about what were the most impactful results. What worked well? What did we achieve as a team? Right? Again, what did you personally achieve? And what are you most proud of when you look back at the year? So I want to give you a few minutes. We're going to play a little bit of music to have you do that jotting down, that reflection. Give you another 30 seconds. All right. So in just a couple of minutes, I'm really curious if that felt like you were able to identify some key learnings. Just put a plus in the chat or a 1 in the chat if you were able to identify some key learnings or some things that you can celebrate with your team. Were folks able to come up with some key things that they could celebrate or things that they've learned? And we just did that in 2 minutes. Think about the power of taking some of these questions back to your team and having everyone as a group have that conversation and giving them 5 minutes, 10 minutes to be reflective, to really think about what did we do really well? What did we learn? What were the impacts that we had in the organization? What are the learnings we want to take forward next year? And even just the concept of let's celebrate all the great stuff that we've done this past year, so that opportunity of using the end of the year as a great break to say, here's all the stuff we did this year. Here's all the things we want to celebrate and recognize and really revel in the success that we've had, enables you to then look forward in a place of curiosity and strength and say, what do we bring and what do we want to continue to grow and develop? And what do we want the experience to be next year as we're going forward? And so think about these questions, how you could take them back, engage them with your team, with your organization, have that reflection time so you can really harness your learning for 2024. And with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Jess.
Yeah, thanks, Shelley. I'm so curious, put in the chat, how was that for you, just to do a little bit of that reflection? What was the impact of spending 2 minutes? Uplifting. I love that, Karen. Yeah. Clarity and recognition. Beautiful. What else came? Helpful and fulfilling. I love this, right? Think about if it takes 2 minutes for us to start to shift our experience and feel that way, what a gift that is to bring to the other people that we're working alongside, right? Because we are in this culture that is go, go, go constantly. And how often are we taking that pause? How often are we saying, I have grown this year. My team has grown. We have done extraordinary things. Yes, it very well could have been a challenging year. It was for many. Right? But what are some of the things that we're carrying forward with us that we can feel pride and gratitude and success around, and the learnings that we want to bring forward with us? Because it's easy to lose sight of those things. And we've accomplished so much in 365 days, undoubtedly. So the next piece I want to carry us into is, now that we've set some intention, we have those beautiful words that you all shared earlier of how you want these last couple of weeks to feel. We've done some planning. We thought about what do we truly want to focus on? What can we get off our plate? And we're harvesting our learnings and we're celebrating these accomplishments. I want to invite us to think about, what does the last week look like for you? How do you want that specific week to feel? And it might mean you only have 2 days off for the holidays. Maybe you're fortunate to have a week or two. But, we think about, we could keep going, right? And instead, how do we want to land the plane for the year versus making a crash landing into the holidays? Because I know when I've crash landed in the holidays, I don't bring my best self to the people that I love. I don't enjoy the time in the same way. I'm exhausted, I'm depleted. Versus if I can really be intentional about this very last week, it can bring a tremendous amount of impact in terms of how present I can be in these sweet moments of life that are so important. So what I'd love to have you do is open up your calendar right now. Most of us have Outlook or GCal or whatever tool you use on your iPhone. Open that up. And your last week before you have a little bit of time off, I'm hoping there's a little space for you. So those last few work days. And I'd love for you to look at how can you be intentional about this week? How might you create some space for a little deeper work or just some more spaciousness in general? Where can you build in a little slack? Do you want to shift the hours that you're working so you're getting out before dark and going for a walk? What does that look like for you that feels really supportive? And how can you be intentional about that last week? Maybe it's boundary setting with the people that report to you about when you're actually available or when you'll respond to that Slack or that email. Right? What does it look like for you? And maybe what is one thing on your calendar that's looking you in the face right now that you might apply those 5Ds to, that you might delay or you might dump or maybe diminish that last week? Okay, so we'll give you a minute again just to look at that. And is there something that you can take off or something that you can do for yourself to create that spaciousness?
I'm curious to hear in the chat, what are people putting on their calendar or taking off their calendar for the last few days? One thing I just did is block my last afternoon of work, knowing that there's always some loose ends to wrap up, and that might be a time to send some thank you notes or acknowledge some people, maybe acknowledge myself. So I'm blocking that time so that there's not going to be a meeting on my calendar at that time. What are some things? Yeah, Anno put the big tennis ball in. That's important. Exercise, right, and fun. Blocking that afternoon of time can be really helpful. What are some other things you want to add in the chat of things that you either like to do, you do, or you will try to do this year? So extending my Chicago trip, add an additional day and taking myself to the spa. Brian, you win the prize. That sounds awesome.
Take us too.
Brian doesn't have kids yet. Just kidding. Blocking an hour a day for my Peloton. Awesome. So exercise. For how many people exercise is important, right? And for you, it might be an hour, it might be 10 minutes, it might be 5 minutes, it might be just something. What else for that last week? Actually, calendaring meditation each morning, right? Leslie, you're far more likely to do it if you do that. Blocking time in the morning, anything starts for a walk. Wonderful. Or maybe you're working at that time, but you don't want the first thing you do to be on a Zoom or on a call with somebody. You want your own time first, and then you get into the Zoom and the calls. Full lunch break. Yes, Brandon, please do that. Even though you have these demanding clients like the people piece. Time to breathe. That's great. So Lynn, I challenge you also, time to breathe is great. Is there a specific meditation time for you, or is there something you can pull off your calendar that gives you a little more time to do that breathing? Keeping my last work day clear. And that's something you can also encourage your team to do. Say, let's all do this. Now, if something pops up, we can schedule it, right? If we have a 6-hour, 8-hour day and we schedule half an hour, that's no big deal. But back-to-back meetings and then you're done. It's hard to have a sense of completion in that way. Intentional connection with people. Yeah. So again, Patricia, I'd encourage you to. So what does that look like specifically? Are there one-on-ones you're going to put on your calendar, or a block of time where you're going to send out some thank yous to people? Get outside during lunch. Great. This is all wonderful. All great practices. So, and as a number of you have noted, more likely to do these. That's why I just suggest if you actually put it in your calendar. Block out the time or add the time or take something off. Hanging out in the hot tub in Palm Springs. That sounds really good, Tom Henry. I like it.
And
All
I
right.
love the call out on the last day. I think there's really powerful too, is that last day is a transition moment. So is there a ritual that you want to adopt, or is there some way that you can really close the door on the year that's potent and meaningful? For me, it's at the very last day before we go on holiday break, and we're very fortunate we intentionally take 2 weeks off. But I clean my office and I close the door and I go for a walk. And that is symbolically me closing the door on the year, and in a really nourishing and powerful way. So what is that ritual for you, or what's that demarcation that you can make for yourself?
Yeah, totally thinking on the same thing. I'm not as good as Jess. I don't think I'm going to clean my office, but I will have a ritual, which will be to close the computer, and it will be to go outside and maybe to take a walk and then come back. And there's something about, for us humans, of just having that quick break and coming back where we can reorient, and it is a ritual. So how many people have end of year rituals that they do at work? Raise your hand. And by ritual, I don't mean necessarily, I mean, some of you are in Southern California, so you will bring out the feathers and the drums, but for most of us, we may not. And that's great. I've done it. It's wonderful. But your ritual may simply be, you may not call it a ritual or think of it as a ritual, but you probably have a ritual. And it may just be, I close my computer for that last time before taking a break. Some of you might be thinking like, I don't know what this whole break thing is. Could we just start there? And so I really encourage you and challenge you that no matter your life situation, to carve out some time for yourself and for your family and whatever else is in your life that doesn't involve work, and with really strong boundaries around that. And less, and maybe even if you are an ER doc, and I don't think we have any ER docs on the call, but even they get time off. My neighbor is a doctor and does surgeries all the time. Okay, so yeah, the idea of the ritual, powerful, appreciate the reminder, great. Maybe folks want to add, what are some of the rituals that you do? So I see Sage here from SoCal, I see hot tubs. What are some of the other things that you do at the end of the year as a ritual? Feel free to drop those in the chat. And also, you may want to put those in your calendar. So we've covered a lot of ground here in 49 minutes. We're going to wrap up at 11, and we have a few more minutes to go here. So I want to talk about one more tool, and then we're going to have just talk to you a little bit about things we're doing in the future at the People Piece you can be part of, and then maybe even have a chance for a few minutes of conversation. And this one's called Ringing the Bell. I was sitting with my mentor years ago, and every time I came to meet with him, this was before COVID, so we were in person, I would just share how depleted I was. And what he pointed out is it's not necessarily how much I was doing, although I was doing a lot and probably too much. It was the fact that I wasn't present for what I was doing while I was doing it. And I wasn't taking a time to reconnect with myself as I was doing it. So there's a way that you could incorporate all of these practices and still at the end of every day feel disconnected from yourself and exhausted and maybe just sad and maybe a bit lost. And there's an irony, I think, that, wow, I'm looking out at this tree right now and I see this beautiful hawk just sitting in the tree. And maybe that's my reminder to ring the bell right now, is to, I have the most beautiful view out my window, and I could be at my computer all day and I could not look at it once. And here there is the splendor of being on earth and being alive in a body, which is unbelievable, right? If we just take a second to think about it. How often are we connecting to that splendor? How often are we connecting to the smile on our child's face, or the hand of our partner, or a poem, or a breath, or just looking out the window and seeing the gorgeous full-breasted hawk in the tree, if you happen to have a view like that? We can be right by this oasis on the screen, right by the well, and we can just be turned away from it and not know that all we have to do is turn around and we can drink from the most beautiful oasis there is. And that oasis for you can be spiritual, it can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be relational. There are a lot of ways that we can ring our own bell and drink from that well throughout the day. So it's one of the things I want to close with. And this doesn't have to be a ritual. It can just be a pause to notice, wow, I'm working at a speed. I'm working at what's called machine speed instead of human speed right now. And so I'm just I'm just going through the motions right now. And of course I'm going to be depleted. Can I just pause in that moment and do something, anything, maybe just a pause to get myself back on track to being with myself? And here's where the judgments might come up. God, I really suck at that. Oh my God, he's right. My whole life's flashing before my eyes. Guess what? It's true for all of us. It's part of the way our society moves. And just like meditation or any practice, it's about noticing when we maybe have strayed a bit, and then come back and ring the bell for yourself, and come back and drink from the well for yourself. So I want to invite folks as a final share here in the chat that you could have the best plans and the best intentions and use all the 5Ds and celebrate and all these things. And also, what are some ways that you ring the bell or drink from the well for yourself throughout the day? Or could ring the bell or drink from the well for yourself throughout the day, whatever that means to you. I'd love to see that in the chat. And here's where maybe we can learn from others here. So for me, again, it's just a quick pause and looking out the window, reset, right? And then it might be something bigger for you, like walking in nature. Thank you, Rosemary. Remembering compassion, really like feeling into compassion. Petting the cat. That's going to be Brandon's new memoir name, by the way, and it can only take 5 seconds. And there you go. You've just felt this beautiful creature. Some quiet reflection, hike with the dog, going outside, playing with the pups, getting on the yoga mat and moving and grounding. And maybe you can do that for an hour and a half, or maybe you can do that for 60 seconds. 15-minute workout, great way, right? Middle age, you're tired, then work out, you'll feel better. That's what I'm doing later today. Beautiful. So there's a lot here that we can do. And I encourage you to think about this last one, not necessarily as a big practice or something that takes 15 minutes or an hour, although that's great. But it could just take a second or 3 seconds of you noticing and then coming back to your humanity, to yourself, to the world around you, and then getting back into your work. And your work might be organizing a holiday party or taking care of your child or busting out a year-end report, right? Spending a break with my daughter and giving her a hug. What a beautiful, wonderful thing. And some intentional breathing too. And dance parties with Scarlett. Heck yeah. Scarlett is a precocious, brilliant 3-year-old, 4-year-old now. I'm not even sure. She's going to work at the People Piece one day. Thank you all so much. I love this session, and thank you for being here. We have 5 minutes to go. We will be following up with an email, and that will include an email, and then in a few days we'll send a recording once our editor gets to get in here and take out all the weird jokes I made, and make it all polished for y'all and add a logo. And then you feel free to share that with your teams. I know we had a few companies that had a number of people here today, which is really great to see. The People Piece has a number of ways that you can be involved with us next year. So most of you are on our mailing list. If you're not, we can add you. We'll keep you posted about what we do. We do offer public programs for folks. So if you want to learn how to be a better manager, or if you want to be part of a women's leadership cohort, or if you want to be part of webinars like these, we will keep you posted. Most of the work we do is inside companies. So if you're thinking, this was awesome, I hope you were, I want this in my company, something like this. Or I want my team to learn how to communicate better. Or, gosh, our managers are technically awesome, but some of them are kind of awkward and need some training. That's great. We would love to help with that. So you can email me, Ronnie@peoplepiece.com. We also coach people both individually and at companies. I believe Laura has a word to say about that in just a quick minute, and then we'll have some quick conversation. So Laura, tell us about coaching at the People Piece.
Yeah, so I'm one of the coaches at the People Piece. I'm putting a link in right now. We have a special offer just for those of you that are here live. So we have 4 slots opening for 8 sessions that can be done from January to March. Normally it's $4,500, and for 4 lucky people, it's going to be $1,950. So the first 4 people to schedule on my calendar are the ones that get it. So you can schedule with me tomorrow, Thursday, or next week. And then we close for 2 weeks because we want to end the year with intention.
So if you're thinking it could be useful to work with a coach, to work with Laura, schedule with her, check her out. She will not be offended if you say, you know what, no, I'm going to pass. But I think once you meet with Laura, you'll say that that's awesome. And that is the best deal that we offer. And we want to just give that to folks who are here in case that could be useful for you. Our website is a great resource as well. So I'd love to open it up. We have 4 minutes left to some conversation. And if anybody would like to unmute and share something, what you took from today, an insight that you had, something you've been thinking about in this way, please unmute, and we'll just ask you to bottom line, which means please be brief. Don't follow my example. Please be brief so we can hear from a number of people. So go ahead. We'd love to continue the conversation with you. What's on your mind? What's on your heart right now as this is wrapping up today? And I know some of you, so don't make me call on you. Just kidding.
I'll jump in. I want to say thank you for bringing up the 5Ds again, and then connecting that to the calendar, because I'm actually going to go through and kind of look over the next few weeks and see what kind of meetings we can drop and what we can move away from and create a little bit more space. So I am grateful for that. Thank you.
Love it. And it's not about getting it perfect. We're never going to be perfect. But if you can even cut 1 or 2 meetings out in the last week, that could be what takes it from too full to just right. Who else? So 5D is really useful tool, looking at the calendar. What else?
Ronnie, this is Rob.
Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, so I think, one of the things I take away is it's almost like a 3-part piece to this. There's the pause, so just pausing and being in the present. It's taking time to reflect, and then it's time to take that reflection and being present in the moment to think about how you're going to approach the future. So often we just kind of run into the future without a plan, without a thought, without real reflection upon what we've done. And I think just taking that time to be able to do both, to pause and to reflect, and then to think thoughtfully about the future. Sort of those three things throughout the day, I think really is helpful.
I think next time we have Rob lead this in 45 seconds and we all go for a 59-minute walk, because to me, that's it. And that's really the underlying mindset here, is that we can be at the whim or we can exert some control and some agency. And I think, to me, that's one of the most important distinctions in life. And there's a lot that we can blame, our conditions, and we can say, you know what, that's all true. And I want to have some agency here. So what can I do? So I can pause, I can reflect, and then I can make some steps to make my life as good as it can be, and the lives of those around me as good as they can be. 1 or 2 more comments or insights here.
One thing that I really liked is just the micro habits. I think a lot of failure comes from trying too much. So just taking those 5 minutes, even if it's a 5-minute walk outside or a 5-minute, pause to stand up and, pet the cat or something like that, just to refresh yourself and reset yourself, is something that I definitely do not do enough. And it's very small, but makes a big difference. And I think that that's something I'm going to definitely try to implement more throughout my day.
It can make a huge difference. Thank you. And what is your version of pet the cat? Right? I mean, your version might be a 20-minute walk, or it might be a 5-second pet the cat. And you find every time you do that, you feel more relaxed. It's a way for you to ring the bell and come back to the present. Those micro habits, I think, are really important. And there's a great book called Atomic Habits, which you may have heard of. I highly recommend it. It's unusual these days in that most people write 200-page books about a 100-page topic. This is a 100-page book about a 100-page topic. And it's got a lot of useful tools, and it's a really great audiobook as well. So I recommend picking that up if you want to see how you can work in little habits into your life that actually add up to make some really big changes.
I needed the reminder of the 5Ds. I'm going to use that to finally finish this dissertation that I've been putting off for like a literal year, so that I can finish it before Christmas. I have like 5 more pages to write. So I'll be delegating some Christmas shopping tasks to Scarlett's dad and really focusing on what I can push until the new year to get this thing done and slide into the new year without it. So thank you, guys.
I like that twist on the 5Ds of, if you have an X, delegate to them. That's really good. That's
put
next
them
level.
to work.
That's right. Yeah, I'm really seeing those 5Ds make a really big difference. And they're a great management tool. When we all have people who we either lead or we collaborate with, and they will often come to us and say, I'm overwhelmed, can you help? And we want to help, right? So, well, why don't you take a breath? Why don't you try this? And what you can actually do is say, there's a tool called the 5Ds. Have you heard of it? What if you tried that and sit with them and see what they come up with? And they'll probably come up with all the perfect answers themselves and how to do it. So Beautiful. And thanks, Patricia, for that. I love, maybe we'll end on that note of, if you have any capacity, right, help someone else with this stuff. And yeah, oxygen mask first on some level, unless you're a parent, then it gets kind of confusing. But both oxygen masks for you and your child and those right around you. And do you have the capacity to help someone else? And that help might just be a quick text, saying, "You're awesome," or "You got this," or "Let me know if I can help." And that takes 5 seconds. And it can make a huge difference for somebody's day, whether it's personal, professional, whatever it is. So thank you all so much for being with us. And I so appreciate you for being here the whole time and even staying a couple minutes extra. Again, we'll follow up with an email. You'll get some resources. You'll get the video. Laura is an amazing coach. I'm always floored when I see her do group coaching and just how amazingly good she is. So if you've ever been curious about coaching, sign up and just check her out and see. And maybe you've had coaching before and just say, I want to, I want that in my life right now. It could be nice to have even just a few sessions or do the whole, 8-session thing that Laura was talking about. And we'll follow up with other opportunities for you as well. So wishing everybody a really wonderful end to year 2023. I hope it's intentional and peaceful, and it will go off the rails a bit. And that's not a failing, that's normal. And you'll notice that and use some of these practices of breath and intentionality and celebration to come back, to just keep coming back. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you all.
Be well.
And thank you to Jess and Shelley and Laura on our team, and Kristen and Emily for just being amazing and making this all possible.
Mhm.
All right, folks, thank you so much.
Well.
Cheers.